Namaskar. Very good morning to all the lovely people. Your Siddharth is back on this very special day. Today is the 21st of June, and since last few years we have been celebrating this occasion, this special day, as the International Day of Yoga. Beautiful occasion. I'm sitting in a beautiful context and the capital city of the state of Sikkim called Gangtok, and in the midst of Himalayas. Uh, and what can be a better context to talk about yoga, dhyan, meditation from from this beautiful context, overall environment. So, friends, I have been seeing people, very happy to see people getting into the mode of yoga. But most of the things that I see is people focusing on their externalities, external selves while performing yoga. They are not realizing, I would not say, I would not be judgmental, but I think so. There should be another round of focus on internal aspects and dimensions of yoga. So let me begin with a small discussion from the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, it is called Bhagavad Gita. I have spoken about this earlier in one of my videos. Bhagavad Gita is referred to as Bhagavad Gita from my interpretation, my understanding, because Gita is music. Music is something that impacts, affects, touches our own soul, touches our own heart. And see, heart is very critically, very interestingly located. It is located right here, which is distant from our stomach, our greed, symbolizing a greed, and thereafter also equidistant from our ego's mind. So God has very critically, intelligently located heart, equidistant from greed as well as ego. And if something impacts our heart, affects our heart, then it is something soulful, something beautiful. And that is the reason I believe Veda Vyas must have chosen this specific term, Gita, instead of Bhagavad Gyan or Bhagavad Bhashya. He chose Bhagavad Gita to become the title of this entire discussion between Krishna and Arjuna. In the midst of Kurukshetra, a battle, a contest between a man and his situations. A person caught up in a situation where he or she is unable to come up with a decision how to move ahead, how to move forward. And then Arjun, a friend and a student of Lord Krishna, asks certain question to the God, and the God responds to those questions. Look at the beauty. Krishna is Arjun's Sarathi. Sarathi is like a pilot. Is like I'm a pilot, so I love mentioning Sarathi as a pilot. Is a guide, a person who gives you direction. So Krishna becomes the Sarathi, Arjun becomes the warrior or the person rider of the chariot. In this entire context in which there is a lot of confusion going on, and Krishna guides him away from this notion of being confused, the situation of being confused towards clarity, from darkness towards light. So this is the beauty, and that is why Krishna comes as a Sarathi, as a guru, as a friend, as a guide. And all this discussion of Bhagavad Gita is about decision-making process of every human being who is caught up in a context where he or she is unable to come up with a solution, and that person asks the question from his or her own conscience, and God in the form of conscience responds to these queries, these questions. And that is what Bhagavad Gita is all about, because when God speaks, it is not knowledge, it is not limited to being an information, it is not limited to being a language. it mm, becomes a music to the soul, and that is why it is referred to as Geet. Today is a special day, Yoga Day. Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters, and every chapter is referred to as a yoga. So, before we get into anything about yoga, there's this very beautiful verse which I would like to narrate to all of you from the 6th chapter, which is the Dhyan Yoga from Bhagavad Gita, which goes like this. First, I'll attempt in Sanskrit. I'm not very well versed in Sanskrit, I'm learning it, but thereafter I'll explain to all of you in English. Sarva bhutasthamaatmanam sarva bhutani chatmani ikshate yog yuktatma sarvatra samdarshanam. Now, this implies yog yukt atma, a person who is completely steadfast, held strong, is in his chit, his atma, his soul is established in yoga. That person sees everywhere samdarshana, one who sees the same, atmanam, self, sarva bhutasthama, abiding in all beings, sarva bhutani, all beings, in the self, implying a person who is completely in the state of yoga, is in unison with his own self, is with his own soul, with the Paramatma, sees the God element, the God particle, the soul present in anything and everything. He doesn't discriminate, she doesn't discriminate, there's no differentiation. Everything is a part of his or her own self, and he or she is a part of everything around. This is the aim where yoga is trying to take us towards. And why I started off with this particular thing is that we should know why we perform yoga, why we do yoga. What is the purpose? So there are several ways of attaining this particular end. To start visualizing, to start conceptualizing, to start feeling the presence of everything inside us and us inside everything. This unison is called yoga. This unity is called yoga. Yoga means to get united with, to get one with. So that is the beauty of yoga. Now, setting aside from this basically means with the heart concentrated by yoga, with the eye of evenness for all things, he or she beholds the self in all beings and all beings in her own self. No discrimination, no differentiation, no distinction, just unity. Everything belongs to me, I belong to everything. I am at the same energy state with the environment, and environment ecosystem includes anything and everything. Now, this was from the Dhyan Yoga, chapter 6 from Bhagavad Gita, and I would like to just elaborate upon a few things about from Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. So this very first chapter from Patanjali's Yoga Sutra called Samadhi Pad, just 3 shlokas which I would like to elaborate and explain to you. Here, the first one is the second shlok from Samadhi Pad. That is called Yog Chit Vritti Nishedha. Yoga is all about Chit, which is our inner self, our soul, the Atma that is inside us, which is definitely no different from the soul or Atma present in anything and everything. All these birds, these trees, even the air, this table, everything. That particle, that energy that is present inside me is present inside all of us, and what is present inside all of us is the same as is the element which is present inside me. So yoga is all about understanding and realizing that everything that is discriminatory, everything that distinguishes us from others, from environment, from ecosystem, they are all vrittis, they are all manifestations, they are all superficial expressions of what we are. And it can be in any form and every form. So yoga is a process. Yoga is that way of disciplining our existence so that we come up to a state where we realize that everything else that discriminates is a vritti, is a manifestation, is a superficial form of existence, ad hoc, and the only and only thing which is permanent, which is fixed, which is constant, is the chit, the soul, which is the same as Paramatma, which is same within me, within you, within everything around. So yoga is a process of controlling our senses to an extent that they don't know more. They are so disciplined and so controlled that they cannot dictate my mind to think that I am different from you. So this is yoga chit vritti nishedh. Then from the second shlok of the Samadhipat chapter of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, I transition to the 27th shlok, where the significance of Om has been discussed. It says, Tasya vachakah pranava. The most permanent manifestation, the most stable, the most constant, the permanent manifestation of the supreme source of energy, Almighty God, whatever name we may choose to give it, is this sound called Om is the sound which is the most apt manifestation of the supreme existence. Third shlok about which I am going to talk about today is, it says, Tad japasa tad artha bhavanam. It implies that if we are reciting Om at the same time while understanding the significance of this sound called Om, then we will get gradually united with the supreme existence. We will reach that state of unison. We will reach that state of yoga, unity with the supreme being. Discriminations will cease, differences will cease, and we will get united. Why it says, the very, very intelligent way of saying, several of us just are reciting, but this shlok clarifies that no, just not recitation of this sound Om is not important. Recitation is good, it has an impact, but if we recite understanding the meaning of this entire expression, then it gives optimal, it helps us to reach that stage in an optimal way, in a proper way, in the fullest. Now, Om has been split into three sound elements, beginning with is the root of the sound Om. It is produced by our mouth without getting in contact, without any usage of the tongue or the palate. So it is the root. Between which is the beginning, the root, and the end, ma, which is produced by mouth closed, lips shut, is something called sound which is in between and ma is the sound which symbolizes that it starts from the beginning and travels to the end, and at end it terminates in ma. So is the adi, the beginning. O is the story, the biography of existence, the entire story of the entire existence, and ma is the end. So Om is the in this small sound is hidden the story of the entire existence, the biography of the entire existence. This is the only true story that exists in the midst of a zillion stories, which is you, which is me, which is the story of the history of the state of Sikkim, the story of the world, the global history, the history of earth. Every other story is ad hoc, temporary, limited. The only story which is permanent is the story of existence manifested through the sound Om. Now, its recitation becomes very crucial because when you are reciting Om, you are in a sacred company. You are feeding your soul with a pure company. Ahar Shuddha Chitt Shuddhi. Now, when you are feeding yourself with a beautiful thing, the only thing that you are feeding yourself is with this purest thing, the only truth that exists, then you cannot be misled into these illusions which are created through our sense organs, and that leads to you feeling that you are different from someone else, something else. And when you start attaining that particular state, when the process begins, that is called yoga. So yoga, on this special day, I would love to request all of us that let us get into the practice of yoga. Do whatever you feel like. Give some due weightage to the breath that we take for granted while driving to office, while sitting idle, doing anything. Just give 10 minutes thought. Think while you breathe. Give the breath your importance. This is this pranayam. It is just one of the means to attain that particular thing of unison, that state of unity between you and your environment, between you and your ecosystem. United. Yog mein aa jana. But never forget, while you are doing this journey, by any means, via any means, never forget that the end that we intend to achieve through yoga is to get at that, elevate our existence to that level that we start feeling that we are no different. We are united with our environment, with our ecosystem. Enjoy your day. Enough of talking for the day. Take care of yourselves. God bless us all. Thank you.